Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Great having you on the channel here today. We're going to be looking at the tropics. Specifically, we could be looking at Major Hurricane Erin, and the disturbing thing is, models are starting to wobble a bit further west. And the European has been leading the way with a much further westward shift, taking it very close to the east coast around North Carolina. Where will this end up, and will further westward wobbles continue? Let's get into it. And a double hurricane feature, Hurricane Erin, followed by the next potential hurricane from August 21st all the way through the 27th. We'll take a look at that. And looking at our satellite, obviously we are watching our Tropical Storm Erin becoming a hurricane very quickly here, so it's not going to be much longer. Look at that deep convection. Really, the storm has a lot going for it. And there's we go over here to Invest 98L. Yeah, we have a flare-up of convection southeast of Texas here. We'll watch this blossom over the next couple of days. All right, starting off with the tropics here, we have Invest 98L into the western southwestern Gulf here. Here is Tropical Storm Erin. This is going to become a hurricane very shortly. So let's take Erin first here. Yeah, this system's gonna, let me zoom in here. So, St. Martin, St. Kitts, and Nevis here, and all the way down to Guadeloupe. We could be seeing some of those outer bands. Look at the Virgin Islands here through Puerto Rico. This is on the 16th here, so as we head on into Saturday, could be up towards 105, 110 mile per hour winds. This is going to wobble just to the north. We'll have all these outer bands reaching the northern and northeastern Caribbean islands here. So we're going to continue to watch it. It's going to be very close. A lot of wave action in these outer bands. Puerto Rico definitely going to end up with many areas 90 to 150 millimeters of rainfall. Puerto Rico comes out to about 2.5 to 4 inches of rain. We'll get into those rainfall amounts momentarily. This thing's going to become a major hurricane as we head into early next week. Bahamas, how close is this going to get to you? Well, it's going to be close. Dominican Republic, look at this, 17th into the 18th. You'll have some of those outer feeder bands reaching your way as well. So this is going to be the areas, the Northeast Caribbean Islands, North Central Caribbean Islands, as this really starts to take impact. Here is our high pressure, Azores, and it continues to nose southwestward here. This high over the northeast is a bit weaker than expected. We also have a trough hanging back across the Ohio Valley here at this point. This is on the 19th. So this is why we're seeing this more westerly jaunt here. During this, look at the Caribbean and Gulf. You're clear as a bell. I'll get to Invest 98L momentarily here. But look at this. This is like a big donut. Here's the 20th. Now, this would be better news for Bermuda. You're still on the eastern side. You'll get those outer bands if this verifies. But it gets really close to the Outer Banks. Wait till I show you the Euro in just a couple minutes here. It gets even closer. It's a little disturbing. Bermuda, you're still not out of the woods yet because you could get clipped with a lot of this. But the good news is here for the U.S. East Coast, at least on this run, at least the GFS, is high pressure does start to build back in here. We also have this high to the east, and this high over the Canadian Maritimes is moving northeast. So that's going to allow an exit strategy for our hurricane. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, I just want to briefly show you Invest 98L here. See how it spins up a little bit? You got this on the 15th into the 16th. GFS is a bit further to the south and west. We have 40% chance of development here. So over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we could see some flare-ups. A lot of big rainfalls here across southern Texas and the coastal areas. Now, I wanted to bring your attention. It looks pretty quiet here until look what's trying to form behind it here. This was what I thought was going to happen. This is a big old wave. In fact, we have a couple of them out here. As we go across Central Africa, look at them just lining up here. There's just one right after another lining up. This is pretty intense. This one in particular really starts to catch our eye. This is the 21st, so really this is not that far out And the fact that the GFS is showing, the European is also showing this, but the GFS is showing a tropical storm moving through the northern and lesser Antilles the 22nd into the 23rd, becoming a hurricane through the Virgin Islands. So this is the 22nd into the 23rd. Look at this. Coming very close to Puerto Rico. Hurricane. Now look what starts to happen. This high pressure is a double barrel high here, north and east of Bermuda. This would be stronger. This would bend the system further west. Bahamas, you would be in on a scenario like this as well. So there is a lot to watch out here. I caution you, do not let your guard down. We are heading towards peak hurricane season over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Look at this, the 27th. Wouldn't that be remarkable? Don't focus on the point. It's kind of strange it's coming into northeast Florida and Georgia. You usually don't get a landfalling hurricane in especially the Georgia coastline like this. But here it is, the last frame. We have to watch this because these tropical waves are going to become very numerous in time. So there you have it. 2 potential storms. Obviously, Erin is definite. But that second storm, the Caribbean islands need to watch out along with the East Coast and definitely the Gulf as well. All right, so thanks for Tropical Tidbits for our European model analysis here, where all eyes are going to be on Erin as it moves just to the north of the islands. I'll zoom in on this momentarily. You can see lots of hefty development there. Rapid intensification over the weekend. This thing's going to bomb, I think, to a Cat 3, probably a Cat 4, as this goes just southwest of Bermuda here. Here's Bermuda. So there's that high pressure. It's running out of runway, although it is initially a double barrel high, so it'll help push it further west than what we originally thought. Watching this high to the north. Is it going to go right between these two highs? Well, usually that doesn't happen, but this high is going to weaken and move to the northeast in the North Atlantic. That allows this trough to kick in and then us to round the bend here as high pressure strengthens across the southwestern Atlantic. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Could this completely be a fish storm with the exception for the Cape Verde Islands where you actually did get hit by this as it was developing? It's quite possible. We'll keep an eye on it. I'm a little concerned that the models have flipped a little bit further west. The margin of error is so great this far out, so please stay tuned. There's still a chance this may try to make a landfall along the East Coast or brush, for that matter. Now, behind it, we're looking at low pressures, tropical waves, just lining up here. Look at this. One right after another. Some of these are pretty strong through the 23rd into the 24th. Look at this one in particular. I think we could be looking at a very good chance of a tropical storm here as we head through the last week of August. That one following a slightly southern track, more weaker than Erin. And we're also going to have to watch, this tropical moisture along the eastern Gulf, southeast coast. Intertropical convergence zone looking very ominous here. As we get into the Caribbean here, ultimately you can see what's going to be happening with Erin. Look how close it gets here. This is kind of crazy if you think about it. And look at it here. Look at that. That is insane. 988 millibars here on Saturday night. We're going into Saturday night here. These outer bands are going to be reaching the Virgin Islands, Northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and eventually the Dominican Republic as we head later on into Sunday and into Monday here. You can see, look how this is moving just to the northeast of the Turks and Caicos of the Bahamas. This is going to be really close for you as well. So please stay tuned. It is kind of concerning. The models have flipped further west with respect to this system. And look how close we're getting here Thursday, the 21st. The Outer Banks of North Carolina. Please stay tuned. This could still wobble further west. The models are still working this out, and we have plenty of time to watch it through the next week here. So look at this. Behind it, we got these tropical waves moving through Dominican Republic here Saturday, August 23rd. Also watching some deep tropical moisture across the north, central, and western Gulf that we'll continue to watch. Also a big tropical wave here pushing through the southern Caribbean. That moves to the northwestern Caribbean right around August 26th. Another one moving through Hispaniola and Puerto Rico here. So yeah, all in all, the European model, there's that potential tropical storm right around the 28th. It stays weaker, which means this one might actually make it to the Gulf or the East Coast. Intensity forecast models of Tropical Storm Erin becoming a hurricane, most likely Category 3, but I'm with some of these models up here with potentially becoming a Category 4. Intensity scale of Invest 98 should potentially come close to tropical storm over the next couple days. We'll keep an eye on it. And sea surface temperature analysis, we are looking really hot, especially where Erin is going to be going. The Gulf, Northwest Caribbean are on fire around the Lesser Antilles, and we're slowly starting to warm up around the Cape Verde Islands as well. And if we take a look at your rainfall amounts here across the Western Caribbean, yeah, it's Puerto Rico, parts of the Northeastern Dominican Republic here. That's where you're going to see the heaviest rain out of this Hurricane Erin. Yeah, you could really be adding a lot of totals. Finally, come the last week of August, we moisten it up around Central America. Most areas 90 to 150 millimeters here. Look at Jamaica, right around 50, 60, maybe 70 millimeters. Cayman Islands, much less, right around 20 to 30. And look at Dominican Republic, right around 90 to 100. Maybe these northeast-facing areas could get upwards of 110 millimeters. Puerto Rico, I'm expecting you to get 2 to 4 inches. And the Western Caribbean here, look at this on the GFS. So there's our Hurricane Erin going north and east. Those outer bands affecting Dominican Republic. Some areas upwards of 100 millimeters. Puerto Rico, yeah, I think you could get a couple inches out of this. There's that second hurricane showing up. So let's just take it through next Friday. Jamaica, right around 40, 50 millimeters on average of rainfall here. Cayman Islands, similar. Honduras, 90 to 125 millimeters. Pretty much less here in Belize up to Cancun. Almost nothing up there, 3 millimeters. There's that second hurricane. That would be devastating to the Bahamas if that occurs, and maybe up towards Florida. But look at this. Dominican Republic, yeah, this would eke out a much higher rainfall totals, 100 to 200 millimeters. Puerto Rico, yeah, that could be upwards of 4 to 5 inches. And for the Eastern Caribbean, all eyes are going to be on what will become Hurricane Erin here. Look at that. Yeah, you could be really eking out some hefty rainfall totals here. Yeah, on the south side of it, even, upwards of 105, 150 millimeters. Trinidad Tobago, you're getting a little bit of a break here, 20 to 30 millimeters, more so as you head up the Lesser Antilles chain. And the Eastern Caribbean here, there is Erin's rainfall amounts here. Look at this, anywhere from 90, 100 millimeters on average here. Look at this, Trinidad Tobago. This is in the next 5 or 6 days or so. Yeah, close to 7 days. We're getting up towards, some tropical wave action heading to the southern part of the Lesser Antilles, maybe up towards 100 millimeters. But look at that, a double hurricane feature. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. We'll see if this materializes. Conditions are going to be right, though, behind Erin. In the Western Pacific here, there's actually nothing really going on. Look at Japan and South Korea. Seoul over to Tokyo. Maybe a few showers around Tokyo. Seoul looks pretty dry until about the 17th and 18th. We do have a front clipping northern Japan. Also, we're going to be watching maybe some development here across the South China Sea and east of Taiwan here. Taiwan just recently got hit by that typhoon. But here we go. We may see a storm try to spin up here along the southern Japanese islands. That heading towards the Yellow Sea here between China and South Korea. So we'll have to watch. It might try to affect Seoul down the Korean peninsula here, the 23rd into the 24th. And look at that, making landfall right around just west of Seoul. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Japan remains mostly dry, except northern Japan, until this kind of gets absorbed up into a front here where it gets some heavy rain and storms, a bigger cold front moving through northern China and eastern Russia here. But look at the Philippines. You're in the midst of a monsoon. And propagating here for rainfall totals across the Western Pacific. Yeah, it's going to be pretty normal here for the Philippines. Tremendous rainfall continuing, 150, 200 millimeters. Even Japan here. Let's take a look. Initially, it's mostly dry. You do get some rainfall, right around, say, the 20th, and then again, 26th, 27th. Look at South Korea compared to North Korea, though. North Korea getting upwards of 450 millimeters. South Korea around Seoul around 56 millimeters. So southern Japanese islands, you're picking up heavy rain. Vietnam really socked in along with South China here over 200 to 300 millimeters. Heading into the overnight hours as we stretch through Thursday night here. Yeah, still seeing some gully washers out here. The southern Outer Banks, southern southeastern North Carolina. This is moving out over. You can see this area of low pressure trying to initialize here. Also got some little showers and bits here in southern Pennsylvania. Could be looking at a few cells trying to crop up here as we head during the day on your Friday. So ultimately, we're going to see those pop-up showers and thunderstorms across the southeast here, some gully washers. Also, a few trying to pop up around the southern tier of New York here. Very interesting here that this is not really in the forecast as we head through Friday night, but we may see a few stray showers and thunderstorms. So watch out. That would be some beneficial rain moving here through 6 a.m. on Saturday morning towards the Catskills and Hudson Valley. Kind of fizzles out here. Look at this up here. This is a mesoscale convective complex here. Mesoscale convective system. We'll have to watch this because as we head later Saturday night and Sunday, this might try to head east. And as we stretch off the North Carolina coast, look at this. This is an area of low pressure. Will we have to watch this for development? We'll have to see as we head into the weekend. All right, taking a look at picking up where our future radar left off. As we continue over the weekend here, all eyes are going to be on our mesoscale convective systems here across the Midwest, northern New England. That front moves through right around Sunday. Here's 2 p.m. Moving through the northeast, Ohio Valley, off the coast by early Monday. High pressure cresting across eastern Canada. That's going to keep us locked in with storminess heading south and eastward. Much cooler air mass as well. That's going to be welcome. Of course, all eyes are going to be on our potential hurricane here. Major Hurricane Erin. Some of the outer bands are starting to reach, by this point, eastern North Carolina. So we'll keep an eye on it here. 20th into the 21st as we head on into next week. So 5 or 6 days out, kind of starts to pivot here. Behind it, we're left with a lot of sinking action in eastern North Carolina all the way up to New England and the interior Northeast. And before this system from the west tries to move in, and it conglomerates a lot of heavy tropical moisture across the mid-Atlantic to the southeast here. See the pivot point just moving. And then an area of low pressure tries to develop here off the coastline. Looks a little bit like a nor'easter rather than tropical, but we'll keep an eye on it here. Plenty of time to watch that as it moves just south and east to Nova Scotia. Also, another front moving through the 25th, 26th. And here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. Potential for another hurricane behind it here. This is really far out. This is the 26th, but look at this. East coast of Florida. We'll keep an eye on it here. Things are going to get very active. Now, wanted to pivot over to here. This is Invest 98L into the Western Gulf. You can see it try to flare up a little bit through Friday into Saturday. We'll have some outer bands reaching southeastern Texas here, so we'll keep an eye on it. Weather is very active. All right, so picking up where our future radar left off with the European model, you can see showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast up through the southeast and into the outer banks of North Carolina as we head through Friday. Look at Saturday. Yeah, we still have this hanging out. This is going to be a thing as we continue through Sunday into Monday. Now, let's take a look here. This is some mesoscale convective complexes moving through the Midwest here. We'll continue to watch this area, especially as we get on. Let me just back it up here because this into the northeast bears watching. I know some of these runs have backed off on severe weather, but here's an MCS here, and watch out of Canada here. We have this sharp boundary drop southward. We could have some hefty showers and thunderstorms here, maybe a marginal to slight risk. And then look at this. As we get into Monday into Tuesday, we continue to have these complexes of showers and thunderstorms moving southward here from Canada into Tuesday of next week, Wednesday. Yeah, we could be looking at some strong, I know your eyes are kind of peeled to this off the coast. They're really drawn, but look at this. Stormy conditions. Well, all eyes are going to be on our hurricane along the East Coast as well. All of these systems dropping to the south. This hurricane, if it recurves like this, could help a lot of sinking air along the coast. But look at inland here. That's where you're going to see a lot of the heavier rain. That's going to move up towards the mid-Atlantic. and by next weekend. So we get some showers and thunderstorms moving off the coast. But this could set us up for some much cooler, drier humidity conditions across the east as we get this big high just building in. Unfortunately, the southeast, although Florida does need the rainfall. Look at this. We're just socked in with this deep tropical moisture continuing from eastern North Carolina on the 28th southward to the Gulf. Look at this up here, though. Last frame showing strong thunderstorms across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, eastern Great Lakes. As we look at total rainfall accumulation here as we go through the weekend into next week. Yeah, all eyes are going to be on that hurricane, but so far it looks like it stays off the coast. As we head through the 29th of August, yeah, coastal Texas, 4, 5, 6 inches, all the way up through Florida, 2 to 4 inches widespread here into these red amounts. So we'll be watching out for any serious rain totals. And look at the Midwest up here. Some strong to severe thunderstorms. You could easily get 4 to 6 inches. And even parts of the Ohio Valley Northeast, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Some of these gully washers up to 2 to 3 inches. And the GFS showing something very similar here. Midwest, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, maybe just a tad further north there. We'll stop it right there because of that second potential hurricane. But here we are. This takes us through the 25th at least. Mid-Atlantic, yeah, 2 to 3, some areas 5 inches, showing more northward into Virginia, Georgia, and western North Carolina here. And some rainfall on the Texas coastline here with Invest 98L. Much of the Gulf Coast getting splash and dash showers. There's that second hurricane. Take that with a grain of salt right now. It's so far out. And before we continue with more weather coverage, don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions and comments and respond to them. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue with more weather coverage. Thank you, everyone. And looking at our upper air pattern here, that death ridge and raging inferno across the east, slowly going to break down. You can see what's happening here. We got our hurricane out here with this trough. Let's see, that one lifts out, so that's a faster moving trough. That was the original trough that was supposed to move this system out faster. Look at this. It doesn't quite capture it. So this pushes it a little bit further to the west. That's what we've been seeing, and that is the problem. That's the conundrum here we're in through next Friday. We'll be looking at the possibility of this trough kicking in across the east. We'll see how fast that can solidify through the end of the month. And then finally, another ridge develops. So for our NAO index here, yeah, we're going seriously negative over the next couple weeks. That would signify return to very stormy conditions. And our MJO index here, we're actually going to quiet conditions. So maybe both of these indexes will cancel each other out. And looking at our Canadian weather outlook here, nice big storm across Saskatchewan, Manitoba, another Pacific-type storm moving into British Columbia. That is going to help with the wildfire situation out here in Alberta. Look at that. That is some great news. High pressure building into eastern Canada as we stretch through the weekend into early next week. You can see, look at that. Yeah, we got this little storm across Ontario. Another storm off the Canadian Maritimes here. All eyes are going to be on our hurricane. How close is this going to get to southeast Canada? Well, the latest GFS here showing this trough and this low pressure kicking Erin out to sea away from Newfoundland here. Maybe some gusty winds, wave action, so watch out. Another storm heading across Ontario and Quebec really gets wrapped up here in the Canadian Maritimes as we stretch through the 26th. Also, some stronger thunderstorms here across western Ontario. That'll drop south and eastward here. Look at British Columbia, though. Another Pacific system moving in. And looking at Canadian rainfall here, yeah, the West Coast looking wintertime here, over 200 millimeters. Look at here into the wildfire areas. This is some great news. Southern Ontario, you're getting a break here into southern Quebec. New Brunswick, 30, 40 millimeters. But look at up here. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, you're getting some rain here. That's some good news for the wildfires. So there you have it. As we take a look at temperatures, this is where the big story is going to be. The heat continuing to boil Friday. It's increasing across the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes here into Saturday. You can see, look at this. Yeah, 70s up here, but look at this, 90s and low 100s. This is all pushing eastward here, unfortunately. We're seeing these higher temperatures into Sunday as well. You got this sharp divide to the north, though, 70s north of that line. So, yeah, south of it, we quickly get into the lower 90s. And on Monday, we do start to see evidence that could be spilling here into the northeast with plenty of mid to high 70s. Look at that. That is so much better. Hopefully, we can get this entrenched. Let's go to Wednesday, August 20th, and look at that. Even 70s all the way down the spine of the Appalachians. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, bringing to this great and for Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Friday, here we go. Friday into the weekend, sunny, and look at this. Lower 90s again into Saturday. We do have a chance of isolated showers, thunderstorms, particularly in the afternoon. Into Sunday, a better chance. Could be some strong to severe thunderstorms Sunday afternoon. We finally break the heat as we go into early next week. Look at that, dropping into the upper 70s. Plenty more weather to come. Here is a look at my affiliate. Check out these awesome, amazing maps. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.